Hi, my name is Robert. This video is designed to give you step-by-step detailed instructions on completing the task at hand. Please read the comments in the About section of this video. It has valuable information and updates. My YouTube channel has a disclaimer video that I encourage you to watch. And please like, share, and subscribe. I hope you found what you're looking for. Thank you very much for watching. I recently replaced the heater core on this 1999 Mercury Grand Marquis GS model. And I'm going to share with you some of the things that I experienced. Now, I used a video of another YouTuber, so I will just link to his video and let you use that one instead of me doubling up. Now, there's a few things that they commented on that was a little different for me. So, let me cover those things. First thing you need to know, this job can get done quicker if you have two people. They actually use three. I did it by myself. I'm a small guy. It is possible. So it's up to you whether you want to do it yourself or go ahead and use some help. So I'm going to put together a fragmented tool list for you. This car, the heater core was leaking. You could tell because there's coolant getting on the passenger side floor. It did not have enough coolant in there. I didn't need to drain any, so that was good. The heater core is inside the air box. The air box is bolted to the firewall with 3 bolts. On some versions of this car, you could remove those bolts into the engine side of the car or into the passenger side of the car. On this car, I was not able to do that. They had some kind of clip or some kind of holder holding that stud into the firewall. So it was difficult maneuvering the air box up against the firewall so that I could get those screws in. The top screw is extremely hard to reach, get a tool on, but it is possible, so I did do that. It took me 5 hours because I did it myself. Probably took almost an hour getting that air box back up against the firewall. My suggestion is tear that stuff out if you're by yourself. Take yourself an hour or 2 break before you try to put that air box back up against the firewall. I ended up leaving the car, coming back the next day to put that air box up against the firewall, and I got it in about 15 minutes after my break. So as hard as some vehicles, you do have to drop the dash down, the steering column down, pull the dash away from the firewall, go out in the engine bay, disconnect the 2 lines that feed coolant into the heater core. They say it should take a couple of hours. So let me get started. I'll make a tool list because I don't think they had a tool list. And before you do anything, you want to put the key in the ignition and push the seat all the way back. Both for the front seats, you want pushed all the way back. First thing I recommend you do, pull the hood. Pull the handle, count to 3, let it go. If your hood does not pop up, this one didn't, you can bang on it a few times and it'll work its way up. Once you have it up, put your hand under there, slide the lever toward the passenger side, release the latch to lift the hood up. If your hood is like this one, the lifts are gone. You'll have to hold it up with a stick or something. Now, due to the fact that I'm going to be dropping the dash and this car may have airbags, for safety reasons, I recommend that you disconnect the battery. Disconnect the ground, then disconnect the positive. That's just me. Take your chances if you like. Some people don't. I used the 8mm, get both of the battery terminals loose. If the heater core is leaking, it may have already leaked out enough antifreeze that the antifreeze level is below those lines. Those 2 lines right there go to your heater core. Disconnect those, pull them away from the firewall, and you can point them up against the firewall there so that they're not leaking antifreeze out. However, if your system is full, you want to go under the car and drain some of the coolant out of the radiator. Find the drain cock, open it up, drain some of the coolant out. If you need to drain some coolant, you come over the driver's side of the car, go under it, come right here on the back corner of the radiator, and you unscrew that nut right there until coolant starts to come out of that drain hole. Catch it in the pan, you can reuse it, as long as you don't get it too contaminated. If it gets some stuff in there, you could strain it out. That one had a clamp on it, about a 9mm or flat tip screwdriver. This one I used the regular pliers on, pulled them away, used the pliers to break the hoses free from the heater core pipes, and then slid them off. Really didn't lose maybe 2 drops of coolant because the system is a little low. I'm going to remove this panel here. It just pulls away from the back, untuck it from this trim, and there's clips that snap it in place. So it'll just pull out towards you, toward the back of the car. To get this bottom lip up, you got to lift up on this trim here and work it out. Next, I'm going to unscrew these 3 wire harnesses. I don't want dropping the dash to affect them in any way. And then I'm going to pull this nut out here. So pull all 4 of these nuts out. Make a note how those wires go back together. A 5/16 took the bottom one out. 10mm took that one, and these top 2 out. I'm going to take the glove box out, open it up, release this little catch here, lift up on it, unhook that, and then pull in the sides of it on both sides and drop the glove box all the way down. Now the glove box is just hanging down here. So on my cable, I slid the cable end down and unthreaded it from that hole of the glove box. Now I'm going to take these 3 screws out. 7mm fits them, and the whole glove box will come out and away from the car. Next, I'm going to come over here. I'm going to pull a bolt out there and pull a bolt out the other side to lower this panel on the bottom of the steering column. Side out, the screw on this side out, which dropped the parking brake release. Now this should just pull down and out from the bottom of the column. Let me get that off so I can show you. Pry that down toward the seat. It have a couple of pressure clips that release. Now I have that out of the way. Next, I'm going to remove this hood thing here out of the way. I got to pull this trim out and back like I did on the other side, because there's a big bolt behind here that I need to get loose. First thing I did was pull this loose, work it out of the way, and then I work this panel out from the bottom, pull it forward and out from, release this stuff, and now you see the large bolt there that I need to get loose. That's hard to see, and if you look up in there, it's that one. So you come under this trim, down under there to get that bolt. Bolt there and the nut up there are both 5/8. So you can use a spark plug socket to get that out. Remove this steel plate here. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 screws to take out. They look like 10mm. Wire harness just to make sure it doesn't get damaged when I lower the dash. So pull a latch back, push this in, unplug it. That way you know you're not going to damage any wires. This red thing fell out of there. That kind of stinks, but make sure you have that on there. Pull this screw right here, to drop that down and loose because I don't want these wires being damaged when I drop the dash. I'm going to take my trim clip puller, pull these two trim pieces down here, clips here and one here, and pull this down and out of the way so I could see everything that I need to there. Here you can see some of the coolant on the floor. Two clips pulled off the front, it had a little release tab there. Now I can finish pulling this off so that that plug is loose there. Release the shifter cable assembly stuff. So if you're on a slant, you want to set your parking brake, turn your key on, pull your shifter down as far as you can. Then you're going to remove this small screw here. Man, it looks like a 5mm. And then up under here, you have to take the cable loose there. So let me get this cable strung from up over that, pull this screw out, and show you what I did next. Tiny cable unhooked. I got this out with a 7/32. Now I want to pull that, get it out of the way. That way, I don't have that hanging the steering column up when I drop the steering column. Put that screw back so I don't lose it. Pull this bolt here. Pull the nut from the hood release there. Pull these small nuts here to make room for the steering column to drop down. We're 5/16. The black ones there, 10mm got them out. 10mm got the hood release. I'm gonna put a 15 on that, and it looks like I can get these with a 14 or something like that. The steering column, I have 4 13mm or 1/2" screws. One there, one there, one down there a little bit, and one right there. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull those 4 13mm nuts, and the steering column should fall down to the seat. Flat tip screwdriver or bone tool, and you pry this trim up here. Bone tool won't damage anything. Pop those clips loose, work your way across, and then lift this trim up and out of the dash. Over here, so I need to unplug that sensor before I could pull this trim all the way out of the way. Remove those two nuts. They look like 10mm. This vacuum line coming across here, you want to pop that loose from the air box. I'm going to lift this box up and out of here. Push those little tabs in and pull this box up and out of the way. I worked the vacuum line loose with the clip puller. The next thing I need to do, since I have this trim pull, is pull these 3 bolts that mount the dash to the firewall. I got a bolt there, a bolt there, and a bolt on the other side. Let me remove those. And this dash should fall down away from the firewall. Give me access to this heater core box. I have these 3 screws out. I'm going to try to lift this dash up and away from the firewall, see what happens. Up the dash down. Something seems to be hung up on the driver's side. I believe there's one more nut in here that has to come off. You come under where the air box is, and you look up there. That nut right there holds the heater core box assembly to the firewall. So that needs to be pulled out, that nut. Now that the dash is down, you need to unplug this wire harness right here. And then there's a nut back here that needs to be removed so you can get the box off the firewall. See that nut down there? That nut has to be removed. The guy said that's a 7/16. Looks like it'll need a swivel. So I'm going to get a couple of extensions and a swivel, see if I can get that off. Well, I got to get it off. And I got it off with a 12 millimeter, a couple of extensions, and a pivot socket. So let's go ahead and see if we can pull this box out of here. I had to muscle the dash out a little more, position the steering wheel just right, get this out far enough so that I could tilt this box in. Next, I got to take these 5 screws off. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This will come up. The heater core should slide out of the box. Let me get those. 8 millimeter, same difference. Take the core cover off. Now the core should lift up and out of here. Let me use 2 hands. This core should pull right up out of this box. We have it. The core lifted up out of the box. Got to squeeze the box down past that wire harness. And this is the core here. As you can see, thing is leaking. Probably mainly under pressure because there's still some coolant in there. But let's see how the replacement looks. Looks like the pipes are longer. But the cord looks like the same size. So I guess I'll go ahead in with it. Doesn't have as much of the foam around it like this one had. But probably doesn't matter that the pipes are a little longer. When I lay the core on the ground, the pipes are about the same. So that was an illusion, thinking the pipes were longer. Let me go ahead and slide this down in here. Keep this moving. I have a bunch of coolant down in the box, so I'm going to sop that up with a rag. Put this back in there. The trick is going to be getting that 12 on there. I don't know how that's going to happen. Get this box back in position and see. I have the screws back in, securing the core in the air box. I'm going to maneuver this air box back up into position and try to get that top nut on there. That's going to be tricky. And then I'm going to put the screws in the bottom of it, hook up this thing here, plug that wire in, and then work on getting the dash back in place. I have to put my bracket back on there. So I'm going to pull those 2 screws out, put that bracket back on there. Alright, I'm having a time and a half getting this back in. The reason being, that screw has to be lined up in this notch on top of here. Right now, it may be upside down. So that needs to be turned so that it's lined up right. And hopefully when you lift it up, it'll stick through the hole there and then slide this into the firewall. Haven't been able to do that yet. I tried 3 times. So let me try it again. Screw through there. I can't tell. I'm going to go with no. Looks like it's lined up though. So let me try to massage this over top of that screw. Alright, I'm on day 2 of this heater core job because I ran out of time on day 1. Let me go open this door on the other side so I can get this dash down a little bit. This dash has to have the doors open some in order to come down as much as it needs to. There it is. There it is. So anyway, this is probably a 2-man job. 3 helps, the last guy said, but 2 will probably do it. I'm hung up right now because the heater core box is held up by 3 nuts, bolts that come through the firewall. 1 up here and 2 down below. Now on this vehicle, unlike the one in the video that I linked in the comment section, the screws are almost won't come out through the firewall unless you take something out in the engine compartment. There's some kind of way that they're secured into the firewall. Now when I get the box up there and the top screw is lined up, the bottom two are not. They're cocked somehow. So I'm going to try to take a pair of pliers, line up the bottom two while keeping the top one lined up, and hopefully it'll slide in enough with all three screws that I can get the nuts on them and pull that tight against the firewall. So let me get started with that, get this hood open. The hood doesn't open because the springs are weak, so I have to do some finagling with bumping the hood to get it to come open. I put the nut in the 7/16 1/4-inch socket. I put a swivel on it. I put a 3/8 to 1/4-inch adapter on it. 2 short extensions. I put a wrench on the padding here to open it up so that I can see down there. And I got my screwdriver laid down the other side so I can see the nut in there. And I got it started by hand, and then put the ratchet on there and ratcheted it in so it is secure. So I should have the tubes out of the other side firewall real good. The hoses are sticking out the firewall nice and far. Clip this box on here, whatever this is, slide it back in place, lock it down. Next I'm going to work this dash back up into place and try to get those 3 screws started. They have cast nuts like that. So one of them has fallen down and is off, so I need to find that before I try to hook that up there, or that screw's not going to go in right. Sealing the seal off of the A pillar here. I lifted the dash up, started that nut on there to hold this in place. Now I'm going to go work the other side of the dash up and in place, try to get those screws started. I have the dash in place. Since I pulled the dash out from the passenger side first and the driver's side second, have to get it back up that way. So I pushed it and worked it into position, and then I got that bolt up there started. That 5/8 bolt there. Then I came over here and hooked this on and got it started. However, I do not remember plugging that thing in the top of this dash. So I'm going to let this passenger side down, make sure that's plugged in. It is plugged in now. So I'm going to hook this side back up, start this bolt in. Then I'm going to find this clip again, because it fell out again. Make sure those are in position and get those top 3 screws in. Down there, in and tight. The screw inside there, in and tight. I got all 3 of the ones across the top in and tight. So now I'm going to plug this in to this trim piece and snap the trim piece in place. And it's got guides in the front edge that lock in. Then you slide it in place and you press down the back end. So make sure you get all those guides in place before you snap that down and in position. Plug the vacuum lines back into the box. The end of mine came loose, so I found that it plugged in right there. Next I'm going to tighten these 2 there, tighten this one here, and hook all this stuff back up where it belongs. This in hand tight. Hooked up these 3 ground leads, plug this in, push that lock in. Now I'm going to put this up here, lock it back in place with those trim pieces. Then I'm going to screw the glove box door back up in here and hook it back up to this retractor. Kind of a neat little contraption there. That locks up into there. This clips under here, and then these 2 prongs plug in there. This is already tightened up. Place all the way around. Go ahead and refit your seal back under there before you lock that down in place. Alright, I came over here, massaged the steering column back in place where all 4 bolts will come through. Don't forget this rod right here has to go under that bolt. And now I'm going to go ahead and tighten all 4 of those down. Dash out, I realized I had to take the bracket screw out of this. That goes up in there. That's the silver one, so I'm going to put that back. Put this one back in here. And then I'm going to work on hooking this linkage back up. Here, 1 bolt there, 1 bolt there, 1 bolt there, 1 bolt there, 1 bolt there. Next I'm going to put this piece of cover in place here. Put this in there, that's where it hooks, and then work it up like you did the other side. This trim piece in here, snap it in place. Now you're ready to put this screw back in here. Put this cover on the bottom of the dash. The park and brake release snaps into there like that. Then you set it up, press it in place, put the 2 screws in. That bolt in there, hook up these hoses, hook up my battery, and top off the coolant. Make sure everything works as it's planned. I normally test drive the car 5-10 minutes so that the thing gets the temp, and then I top off the coolant bottle again because it has to fill up that heater core with coolant. They purchased Dexcool to fill their coolant system. It's 100%, so it needs to be diluted. I don't know how they want to deal with that. So I'm going to fill in what they got and turn it over to them. If you feel that this information was useful, please like it and share it with your social media friends. You can subscribe to my channel so that you will get notifications of future videos that I post. You can follow me on Twitter, and if you need to contact me directly, please visit my website. And if you have any questions, leave them below, and someone or myself will reply to them. Again, thank you very much for watching.